Have you ever caught yourself thinking, if my child is acting like this, I must be doing something wrong? Maybe your toddler has a meltdown in the store. Maybe your older child talks back. Maybe your teen shuts down and won't talk. And suddenly, all the voices around you get louder. You need to be stricter. Don't give in, you'll spoil them. Kids today are too soft. You scroll online, you hear advice from family, from other parents, from experts, and a quiet fear starts to grow in your chest. What if I'm ruining my child? The truth is, most parents aren't failing their kids. They're doing their best, while trying to parent under harmful myths they were never taught to question. In this video, we're going to gently but clearly break down 10 parenting myths that are secretly hurting kids, not to create guilt, but to give you clarity, calm, and connection. Because when you see the myth, you can finally choose the truth. And when you parent from truth, your child's brain, behavior, and bond with you all begin to shift. So, welcome to Childhooder, the place where parenting finally makes sense. Alright, let's get into it. Myth number 1. My child's behavior is a report card on me. This myth sounds like, if my child is well behaved, I'm a good parent. If they're struggling, I'm failing. On the surface, it sounds responsible. You care, you want to do better. But deep down, this myth turns every tantrum, every argument, every bad day into proof that you are not enough. Here's the truth. Your child's behavior is not a report card. It's a message. Yes, we influence our kids hugely, but behavior is about so much more. Nervous system, development, sleep, sensory overload, school stress, temperament, even hunger. When you believe the myth, you react from shame. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with them? When you believe the truth, you respond from curiosity. What is this behavior trying to tell me? One closes the heart, the other opens it. You don't need to pass a test. You need to learn the language. Now that we've shifted from shame to curiosity, let's look at a myth about discipline that often pushes parents into the wrong corner. Myth number 2. If I'm not strict, my child will become disrespectful. Maybe you were raised hearing, "Because I said so. Don't talk back." Children should be afraid of their parents a little. So now, when your child questions you, you feel that flash of panic. If I don't shut this down, they'll walk all over me. The myth says respect comes from fear. But here's the truth. Fear creates obedience in the moment. Respect creates guidance for a lifetime. Children who are constantly scared may listen on the outside, while quietly building resentment, shame, or secret rebellion on the inside. Children who are guided firmly and kindly learn, I still have boundaries, but I'm safe, even when I make mistakes or disagree. You don't have to choose between strict and soft. You can be clear, calm, and connected. That sounds like, I hear that you're upset, and we're still not going to hit. I understand you disagree, and this is still the rule. Strong parenting isn't loud. Strong parenting is steady. Speaking of steady, let's move to the myth that makes parents pull away right when children need them most. Myth number 3. If I comfort my child, I'll spoil them. You've probably heard it. If you pick them up every time they cry, they'll depend on you too much. If you comfort them, they'll never toughen up. Here's the quiet damage this myth does. It teaches parents to pull away at the exact moment the child's brain most needs them close. The truth? Comfort doesn't create weakness. It creates regulation. When a child is overwhelmed, their nervous system is in alarm mode. They don't need a lesson in that moment. They need a person. Your calm voice, your presence, your hug, your steady breathing, these are not spoiling tools. They are brain-building tools. A child who is comforted learns, feelings are survivable. I'm not alone when I'm scared. I can come back to calm. And kids who learn to regulate with you slowly learn to regulate on their own. That's resilience. Now, once we stop seeing emotion as manipulation, we can tackle a common misunderstanding about tantrums. Myth number 4. Tantrums and big emotions are just manipulation. Here's how this myth sounds. They're just doing this for attention. They're trying to control me. Believing this myth turns your child into an enemy to outsmart, instead of a human to understand. Here's the truth. Most young children melt down because they're overwhelmed, not because they're evil geniuses. Yes, kids can test limits. Yes, they can repeat behaviors that get a big reaction. But most tantrums are a developmental storm. Too much stimulation, not enough skill, too big a feeling in too small a body. When you see manipulation, you respond with hardness. Stop it! Get over it! You're too much! When you see dysregulation, you respond with leadership. I'm going to keep you safe. I'll help your body calm, and then we'll talk about what happened. Calm doesn't mean letting everything slide. It means holding the boundary without shaming the feeling. That leads us to a myth that hides kids inside labels. Myth number 5. Labels explain my child. Shy, lazy, difficult, dramatic. Maybe you've said it out loud. Maybe you've only thought it. They're my shy one. He's just lazy. She's the dramatic one. Labels feel like clarity, but they quickly become cages. Here's the truth. Kids don't grow well inside labels. They grow through understanding. Lazy might be a child who's overwhelmed and doesn't know where to start. Dramatic might be a child who feels deeply and doesn't yet have words. Difficult might be a child whose nervous system is more sensitive, or whose needs aren't well matched to their environment. When the brain hears the same label again and again, it turns into identity. This is just who I am. Instead of, you're so lazy. Try, it looks like starting is really hard right now. Let's break it into one tiny step. Instead of, you're so dramatic. Try, your feelings are really big. Let's find a way to help your body feel safer. You're not just describing them. You're writing the story they'll believe about themselves. From stories to consequences. Let's clear up the myth about punishment. Myth number 6. Punishment is how children learn. Maybe when you were young, the recipe was simple. You mess up, you get punished. End of story. So now, when your child lies, hits, or disrespects you, your brain reaches for the same tools. Take something away. Make them feel bad. That'll teach them. But here's the truth. Punishment teaches fear of getting caught, not wisdom about what to do next. Children absolutely need consequences, but logical, calm, teaching-based consequences. Punishment says, you did something bad, so I will make you feel bad. Teaching says, you made a hurtful choice. Let's see what needs to be repaired and how you can make it right. For example, instead of just, no tablet for a week because you hit your brother, you might say, you hit your brother. That hurt his body and his trust. First, we're going to help him feel safe. Then, you're going to help fix what happened, with an apology, with time to reconnect, and with a plan for what you can do next time you feel that angry. The goal isn't to break your child's spirit. The goal is to build their inner compass. Screens often get blamed, but there's more under the surface. Myth number 7. Screens are the problem. If I remove them, my child will be fine. Screens are an easy villain. And yes, too much screen time absolutely affects sleep, mood, attention, and behavior. But there's a hidden danger in this myth. It convinces us that the screen is the whole story, instead of one piece of a much bigger picture. Here's the truth. Screens are often a symptom, a distraction, or a coping tool, not the root cause. Sometimes kids cling to screens because real life feels too stressful. They're lonely. It's the only time they can switch their brain off. Or it's the only place they feel good at something. If we only rip the screen away without giving them connection, regulation tools, and real-world meaning, we remove the medicine they were using without healing the wound underneath. It's okay to set limits. In fact, it's necessary. But instead of just less screen, think more connection, more movement, more purpose, more rest. You're not fighting a device. You're supporting a nervous system and a heart. Even when school looks fine, there can be hidden struggles. Let's discuss that. Myth number 8. If my child is doing well in school, they're fine. Good grades, no complaints from teachers, polite in public. From the outside, everything looks great. So it's easy to think, we're good. There's nothing to worry about. But here's the truth. School success doesn't always equal emotional safety. Some kids perform well while quietly carrying crushing anxiety, perfectionism, fear of disappointing you, deep loneliness. They might be the child who never causes trouble, because they've learned there's no space for their needs. Instead of only asking, "How are your grades? Did you behave today?" Also ask, "How did your heart feel today? Did you feel safe talking to someone when things were hard? Was there a moment you felt small or left out?" We don't just want high-achieving children. We want seen, supported, emotionally alive children. Your child is more than their performance. They are a whole person. Now let's move to a myth that makes parents feel trapped by perfection. Myth number 9. Good parents are calm all the time. If you've ever slammed a door, raised your voice, or said something you regret, you've probably had this thought. A truly good parent wouldn't have done that. This myth sounds like high standards, but it quietly turns into perfectionism and self-hatred. Here's the truth. Your child doesn't need a perfect parent. They need a repairing parent. Yes, your calm helps your child feel safe. Yes, working on your reactions matters. But never making a mistake is not what builds your child's confidence and resilience. What does? When they see you, catch yourself. Take a breath. Come back and say, "I didn't handle that well. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that. Let's try again." In that moment, their brain learns people can own their mistakes. Apologies are safe. Relationships can repair. That's more powerful than endless fake calm. And finally, the heaviest myth, the one that keeps parents awake at night. Myth number 10. It's too late. I've already damaged my child. This is maybe the heaviest myth of all. It shows up late at night when the house is finally quiet and the replay of the day starts in your mind. All the shouting, all the times you ignored, all the moments you chose your phone, all the old patterns that slipped out of your mouth before you could catch them. And the brain whispers, "It's too late. I've messed them up." Here's the truth I want you to really hear. As long as there is relationship, it is not too late. Children's brains are not made of glass. They are made to grow, heal, and rewire through new experiences. Every time you pause instead of explode, listen instead of dismiss, comfort instead of shame, repair instead of pretend nothing happened, you are literally offering their brain a new pattern to believe in. You cannot erase the past, but you can rewrite the future, one small moment at a time. You're not starting from zero. You're starting from today. So let's go back to that image of you, surrounded by advice, opinions, and pressure. All the voices saying, "Be stricter. Don't spoil them. Punish more. Don't be so soft. Just take the screens away." And underneath all of that, your quiet fear. What if I'm failing my child? Those fears didn't come from nowhere. They came from myths that were handed down to you, often by people who were doing the best they could with the tools they had. But you are choosing something different. When you question the myth that behavior is your report card, you make space for curiosity instead of shame. When you question the myth that only strictness creates respect, you make space for firm, calm leadership. When you question the myth that comfort spoils, you make space for deep, secure attachment. When you question the myths about tantrums, labels, punishment, screens, grades, calm, and too late, you're not just changing your parenting style. You are changing the story your child's brain will grow up believing. Something is wrong with me. Into, I am human, I am loved, and I can grow. One day, your child will face a hard moment, a test, a friendship, a mistake, a big feeling. And instead of hearing the old myths shout in their mind, they will hear the quiet truth you lived in front of them. I am not my worst moment. I can ask for help. I can repair. I am safe, even when I'm not perfect. That's what you're building right now, even on the days that feel messy and small. If this helped you see parenting myths more clearly, and maybe see yourself with a little more compassion, like, subscribe, and share this with another parent who's tired of feeling alone and not enough. Remember, you don't have to raise a perfect child or be a perfect parent. You're raising a human, while being a human, in a world that never gave you a proper manual. Here, we're writing that manual together, with science, with calm, and with connection. Welcome again to Childhooder, the place where parenting finally makes sense.